Do you like trans people? Great news. From March 31st to April 12th, there will be over 40 shows made by trans folks happening on live stream and video on demand and in person in Los Angeles. Check out The Joy Who Lived, a trans theater and comedy festival featuring incredible art, including a live reading written and directed by me and my wife and writing partner Susan of our original pilot, Robo-Waitress Assassins. In a world where murder is legal, a cybernetic waitress is used to assassinate anyone the mega company known as corporate wants out of the way. But a personal catastrophe spurs her to defy her programming and expose corporate to save others like herself. A full cast live reading of a trans, queer, cyberpunk action dramedy pilot full of action, humor, and heart, and about how society controls our bodily autonomy and pits us against each other to keep us from rising up. Check it out at joywholived.com, where you can support the festival, get tickets, and learn how to get involved. Welcome to Tilly's Trans Tuesdays. This week, we interview Jadzia Axelrod, a fellow comic writer who's authored some graphic novels that have become easy favorites of mine, and they'll be favorites of yours too if you know what's good for you. Hi, I'm Tilly Bridges, your host, and I'm joined by my writing partner, my best friend, my wife, our token cis representation, the only fellow graphic novel author I live with, Susan Bridges.
Hello.
Our guest this week, as you likely surmised from the intro because you're very smart, is Jadzia Axelrod, author of Galaxy the Prettiest Star, Galaxy as the World Falls Down, Hawk Girl, Once Upon a Galaxy, and Justice League Intergalactic for DC Comics, the DC Book of Pride for DK, Stories in the Sharp Wit and the Company of Women, and When We Were Young anthologies, as well as comics for Tor, Quirk Books, and Epic Books. She lives in Philadelphia, where she cooks needlessly elaborate meals for her wonderful wife and delightful child. Welcome, Jadzia.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Okay, so before we get into talking about your fabulous writing, I wanted to ask you about your fabulous cooking, because not only are those meals elaborate, they are tremendously well photographed, and they look like shots from a cookbook, and they always make me starve. So how did you get into cooking, and how do you photograph them so well? What's the appeal to all that for you?
Well, let me answer the second one first.
Sure.
My wife is a professional photographer.
Okay.
And years ago, when we both worked at a newspaper, she would take pictures for the food reviewer. And so she would go to restaurants after the reviewer had been there in secret and go there and tell them that she was there to take photos of very specific dishes. So they would do it up real nice and fancy, like they would never do if you were just ordering it. And then she would take pictures. So I learned all the tricks watching her because, of course, I went because then I got to eat the food.
Of course.
Right? It was win-win. So I learned all the tricks on how to shoot food really nice just by watching her do it for months and months, years.
Wow.
So, I mean, taking my own pictures, got all those secrets. As far as interest in cooking, it's something I've always done. Had a love of it since as a child and continues to this day. I'm really into eating, and that
Same.
goes hand in hand with like, well, if you want to eat really good food, you should learn how to cook really good food, and then you will always have really good food on hand. As a result, we are raising our child in an ingredient house, which I didn't realize I was doing till someone pointed it out, which is fine, but it means that now they have to also learn how to cook, which they're learning, and then had a passion for a while. We did a thing where they made dinner on Mondays, which was amazing.
That's great.
Yeah. So, and we have some kids' cookbooks for them. It's really wonderful.
I remember one of the first times Arcade cooked for us and I like ate it and I told him it was good and the look on his face was just the most beautiful thing.
Aw.
Yeah. Does it scratch the same creative itch for you as writing?
No, it's completely different.
Okay.
Which
That's
is why I
fine.
like it. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, cooking is very restorative. Like this is how I kind of like decompress at the end of the day is by cooking
Sure.
something, which is not how cooking is for everyone, and I recognize that. And like some people, it's just another chore. But for me, it is almost a meditative act of restoration.
That's really cool.
Yeah, which is not writing. Writing is something else.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, I know there are like a lot of professional chefs who approach it from a creative standpoint. This is sort of the same way we do writing. And so it's wild that it can be so very different for everyone who does it. So I don't know. You cook a lot. How do you feel? Is it creative in the same way to you or is it
No,
no?
it's definitely different. And it depends on what you're making, because like cooking
Well,
and baking are completely different things.
sure.
But like I find like I just feel like I'm letting our child down, like because like trying to teach him is impossible for me to keep everything in my head,
Mm,
like at the same time. Like so like actually this Thanksgiving, like I have him help like
yeah.
on these occasions, but I definitely put the pumpkin pie in the oven and then realized I had not added sweetener to it,
Right.
any kind. And then I had to pull it out and dump it in and be like, I'm gonna do this. It's gonna probably be okay.
That's very kind of like writing.
And
I just gotta say.
I guess it is. It was fine.
But when you're
It
teaching
turned out
someone,
fine.
you do have to follow the rules and everything so
Yeah.
that they learn that. And this is something that I've been
Yes.
having problems with is like I can eyeball now a teaspoon, a tablespoon, all of that. Like I don't
Sure.
need to measure, but they can't. They just started. So
Right.
like I have to bring out the measuring spoons so that they can learn then to eyeball it later. And
Yeah.
it's
Right. It like
frustrating.
changes your process and
It
then it throws you
does.
off because you're like, wait, this isn't how I normally do it. And then because brains are like this.
Yeah.
They're like, you changed one thing.
And now I'm going to forget everything you did. Yes. Thanks, brain.
Thanks, brains.
All right. Well, for you, what has been the best thing about transitioning?
Oh, I used so much brain power trying to deny being trans.
Yeah.
Like there was so much of my brain that was spent self-policing and self-editing and like constantly being outside of myself
Yeah.
in the fear that anyone would realize or recognize what was going on. So to be free from that and to be able to use all of my brain all of the time for everything that I do, from writing to parenting to cooking to all of that, just to be constantly present in a way that I never was before
Yeah.
has been magical.
I feel like it made me a better writer, a better spouse, a better parent. It opened up the whole world to me in new ways. Like I discovered I'm kind of extroverted when I thought I was introverted. No, I just didn't want to be perceived as that person. And it's so wild. Like now also I love trying new foods and before I never could because I couldn't it was too much I couldn't process, because I was dealing with so much at the time. I was like, I can't handle anything else. No, same stuff all the time. So, yeah, it's an absolutely wild thing discovering what the world really is when you can
Yeah.
be in it. What? You have a look.
I'm just thinking of how your family could not cook at all.
Well, that's a
And
different
it was
story,
the
but
most horrifying recipes that I had ever heard in my life.
yes, if it didn't come from a box
It
or a
was
can,
horrible.
my mother didn't cook it. So,
Yeah, when I was like, tell you that's not a recipe. That's a list of pantry ingredients. That is not, no,
yeah,
okay.
okay. Well, on the flip side of that, what has been the worst or maybe most difficult part for you?
I mean, a lot of it's been very great. I want to preface that
Yeah,
this is a difficult question. I think in like the first handful of years, like that first 5 or 6 or 4 years, it was really difficult because the hormones hadn't quite kicked in yet,
yeah,
right? And like I'm a large person, I have broad shoulders,
same.
and especially when I was starting out and there was no curves to speak of, like it was definitely a male body. It was a male body that was trying very hard to present in a feminine way. And that, I think, led to a lot of confusion on the parts of people I interacted with as far as to what box to put this
Yeah.
person in. Do I relate to them as a man or do I relate to them as a woman? I don't have a middle one. And now that I am more clearly a woman, I don't get that as much. But there was a long time of just not being interacted with at all, people avoiding me or
Yeah.
interacting with me as little as possible because the social rules that they were used to no longer applied in the scenario. And this was really difficult time in our transition. It was really difficult too early in my kids' life as a new mom and wanting to connect with other moms and them not knowing how to relate to me.
Yeah.
And not to say that no one did. I do have some very wonderful friends that I met who are mothers and then still are friends to this day and I cherish them so much. But like it was really hard and
Yeah.
very difficult and very isolating in a way that I didn't clock until I started to not be. And then it was like, whoa, I things were bad and I didn't even realize because so much else
Yeah.
was going on.
Right.
But good now.
That's great.
So it's when my presentation caught up to my identity, things got a lot better. And now I was just at the beach and was just hanging out in a bikini and like another woman came up and just talked to me like, we're just two women on the beach just having a chit chat, talking about her vacation. And it was just a really nice moment of her like deciding what box I was in and then treating me as such, which was correct and wonderful. And like,
Yeah.
and that's what happens now, but it took a while to get there. And that's part of why those early transition years are so difficult.
Yeah, I think it's extra hard because, like, for all of us who transition as adults, we feel like we've been waiting so long. And then you start and it's still not what you want it to be, and it takes so long to get there. It's just such a slow process. So,
Yeah, we all want to skip
yeah,
to the end.
we do. We want to jump right through. Okay, well, let's get into what you're here to talk about, your comic writing, and very specifically your Galaxy graphic novels. And I don't want
Yes.
to be too spoilery for folks who haven't read them yet, but Galaxy is an alien with her own mythos and culture that comes to Earth and sort of integrates into the larger DC Comics universe. And so I wanted you to sort of tell us a little bit about how you created her and where she came from as a concept.
Well, that kind of story is something that's been kicking around in my head for a long time. And then when I got the opportunity to pitch some stuff to DC at the start of their YA line, because this was the original pitch was so long ago, they were just starting the YA line. And I talked to the editors at DC and sent them like four pitches. And then
Sure.
right at the bottom, I put what would become Galaxy, even though they specifically told me not to pitch original characters. Like, because that was not what they were doing, but it was like, I have to put this in,
It doesn't hurt
or
if you just put one in there, right?
right, it's at the bottom. It doesn't count.
You probably didn't read that anyway, right? I mean,
Yeah.
It's two sentences, like, and it's fine. There's other stuff with Superman in it. You'll be fine. So when I put that in, it was just something that I wanted to do, and like I'd kind of been like poking at for a while, and so to get this opportunity was something that I couldn't waste. So I
Yeah.
did that, and then that was the one they picked. So then I had to develop it more than just an idea of trans alien on Earth
Yeah.
business and like actually pull it together. Thankfully, I had a really good guide in that with the editors, especially Sarah Miller, who edited the book and like really kind of bringing that whole thing into focus. But it was really just like something that coalesced with the pitch, but beyond that, it was something that I had been like poking and prodding for a while because like I had always felt like an alien because of being trans
Relatable.
and yeah,
Yeah.
right? And like so that seemed like a natural metaphor to put in there. And having recently transitioned when I pitched, which is like I think I'd only been trans like a year, but when if even like the life of Galaxy and the life of my transition very similar. So to have those emotions were still very raw and still very real, and it was still very easy to tap into that.
Yeah, I feel that
Yeah.
really shows in the first book because I read it not too long after I had come out. I think it was like a couple years. And so it was all very fresh for me too. And it felt like it was my story almost, And so I love that.
I love that too.
Yeah. Well, did you always hope for her? I mean, I know it was just sort of a nebulous concept, but like, did you always want her to be part of a larger, like, existing superhero world rather than off on her own in your like
I
own
never
creative
thought
stuff?
she
No.
would be. Like, I
It's
mean,
a
I
thing that
wanted to,
rarely ever
sure.
happens anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I was 100% certain that the book was going to flop, that I had somehow
Oh.
conned them into letting me tell this story, and then no one was going to buy it, but it was okay because I had had my shot. I had done the story I wanted to do. That was my DC Comics experience, and I was better for it, and it
Yeah.
would never happen again, and that character certainly would never be used ever, ever again. So the fact that the book became a hit and that they wanted to move her into the main DCU was a surprise. One I was ready for, absolutely excited to do it, but it was not something that I even allowed myself to imagine. I was 100% certain that nothing was going to happen with that book after it was published.
Yeah. It
And
feels
I was
like
wrong.
well, you sure were, but it feels like such a rare gem, like new characters in like DC and Marvel universe. Like they're so rare. And when they come up, they're usually like directed by editorial perhaps or part of a larger thing. So to have an original creation of yours become part of that universe is just like so cool. That's like the dream. You're living it. It's so good.
Yeah. And it is really unusual. Like I was talking to a marketing person and not long after it's published, and she's like, I've never seen an audience like come around a new character like this before. That never happens. So like right off the bat, like she had fans and people who were loving the book and loving the character, which is amazing. Superhero comics in particular are kind of a backwards looking medium. We want the stuff that we
Yeah.
read when we were kids, but for adults now. And still, that's very much the thing that goes on now. And so to have a new character who is not connected to an existing character in any way beyond some feints at Superman is really astounding to have her one exist and been so embraced by the fan community and also editorial, and to have her be in Hawkgirl and then in Justice League. And it's it's really wonderful, and I'm really fortunate to have it all happen.
It's the coolest thing.
It's pretty great.
Did you have to like change any of the things that you intended to do with her to make her fit in the larger DC universe? Because
No,
no,
no, no.
that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
extra
we're
amazing.
we're in a particularly writer focused era of DC, which is really
Yeah.
nice. A lot of the writers, not just me, but other people who are working at DC are given the space to do the stories that they want to tell, which has been really amazing. So hopefully that continues and I get to
Yeah.
tell all the Galaxy stories I want to tell. But yeah, I haven't had to change anything about it. And I think there's a lot of resistance to, in general, like, and we saw this with Tim Drake coming out, there's a lot of resistance to these characters, even if their sexuality has been hinted at for decades,
Yeah.
to have it be explicit creates some backlash because that's not how people imagine it. They miss the hints, they miss the stuff because that's not what they were reading. And so to have a character like Galaxy who was very trans and very queer right
Yeah.
right from jump, that's the whole point of the book. It's no big deal to have her then make out with her girlfriend in Hawkgirl because she already did that in the YA book. Why shouldn't she do that in the regular
And
one?
more.
And more. Yeah, we did a lot in that YA book. So like
You
anything we
did.
do in the superhero thing, we've already covered that ground. So,
Yeah.
and that's been really great.
It's great that you were able to do that though, like from the start, because we have experience writing in larger universes with things, and whenever you try to take an established character and reveal something new about them that maybe you didn't know ahead of time, you get accused of changing the characters, right?
Hmm.
Like we would approach editors and be like, what if this character has actually been a trans woman all along, and you didn't know because nothing in her story that was ever revealed said that she was cis. You just assumed she was. There's that,
Right.
presumption of cisness, and they're like, no, you can't change a character. We're like, technically, that's not a change. It's just a fact you didn't know. Maybe she also hates pizza. You didn't know that either. Now you do. It's just another fact that you didn't know, but they don't always see it that way.
But we digress.
All right. Well, for anyone listening, maybe who has not read Galaxy the Prettiest Star, or maybe doesn't even usually read comics or graphic novels, do you want to give them the sort of soft pitch for the book?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So Galaxy the Prettiest Star is about Taylor Barzilay, who is a sparkly space princess
Yes, she is.
who his planet was overrun and she is hiding out on Earth. In Galaxy the Pretty Star, she is disguised as a human. She's also disguised as a boy because she was assigned male at birth. And as the story goes on, and she meets the new girl in town, Kat Silverberg. They have a relationship, and that disguise becomes harder and harder to keep up. And eventually, she reveals herself as her cool, sparkly space princess alien self with the superpowers that come along with it because it's a DC Comics story and all aliens have superpowers. And
Yeah.
and that's pretty much the what happens in Galaxy the Prettiest Star. What's
Well, she's
fun is that in Galaxy as the World Falls Down, we get to move beyond the coming out story
yeah.
and talk about like what do you do after you come out and how do you find your community once you come out, which is a story that we don't often get. We've gotten
Yep.
a lot. I don't want to say we've gotten a lot because there's still not that many queer stories
Yeah. Sadly.
especially trans coming out stories, right? So like
Yeah.
of the trans stories we got, most of them are focused on the coming out. So it was nice to
Yep.
tell a story that was not about that, but about what happens after.
Yeah, and she's got a really unique both visual design but like power set too. Like I've not seen a character like that before, and it's hard to come up with brand new powers you haven't seen before because they've kind of
Boy,
done
is it
everything.
ever. That
So,
was one of the things I had to do in
yeah.
addition to create her own alien world and make it be different than anything else that DC already had going on, but also give her a power set that was not just copying someone else. So to
Yeah.
have her be someone who can like perceive and manipulate the energies around her was a very powerful power to do, but also a nice kind of metaphor as far as like being a trans person and being very aware of like the way the energy changes when you're in a room, being
Yeah.
aware of the microaggressions that someone else might not see or sense. And so to have that metaphor be locked into her powers in that way and to make her sensitive in that way, but in a way that'll then allow her to take control of that sensitivity. And it's like, yes, she's aware of the things that are around her, and also she can change that and make
Yeah.
that to suit her. It was a really fun power fantasy. So it made for a really fun power set.
Yeah. Well, I want to add that in addition to your pitch for Galaxy there, that when I first read the first book, I loved it so much that I posted about it way back on the bad site on Twitter. And I went and found my post because I have my old archive. And I wrote that it touched my heart in specific trans ways that so little does. And that people should hire more of us trans creators. And if I'd had this book as a kid, it would have been life changing to be so seen and understood for the first time. So
Oh,
uh,
gosh.
it meant so much to me. And I wanted to, relatedly, like, what has the response been? Like, I know people love it, but like, have you heard from kids or teens or adults that it meant a lot to?
So many. It's been
Yeah.
so amazing. My heart is full to bursting with all the messages that people have sent me about this book and how much it means to them. I got a message from a mom of a trans kid who she carries the book with her in her backpack to
Oh
school
my
every day
gosh.
as like a
My
kind of,
heart.
yeah, it's like a little talisman or like some sort
Yeah.
of sympathetic armor to get through the day. And I keep getting messages. I got two this week of people who, parents who had these, who had given their trans kids this book and that they loved it and identified with it and it meant so much. So it's really wonderful that it's reaching those people, but it's also reaching people who, like myself, transitioned later in life. And like
Yeah.
the dedication of the first book is like to the girl who needed this book ages ago and couldn't find it.
Yeah, that was me. Thank you.
No problem. It was a lot of people, and it's
Yeah, it sure
continued to
was.
touch a lot of people because I did want to write the book that I needed as a kid, and it's so wonderful that the kids who need it now are getting it and are able
Yeah.
to be inspired and to be confident in their lives because of that book. We talk about superheroes as that's what they're supposed to do is inspire. And
Yeah.
like sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't for certain. But it's really nice to see it happen and to see it happen with Galaxy. And it's really wonderful.
Yeah, it's the best feeling because as a creator, you put these stories out there and you hope that it's going to connect with people, that the people who need it will find it. And when it does, oh, it is the most magical thing in the entire world. But I just want to say that I was lucky enough to not only read an early copy of the follow of Galaxy as the World Falls Down, but I was also
Mhm.
asked to blurb it. That's very exciting for me.
And a very nice blurb you provided too.
Oh, well, thank you. But I found it even better than the first
Oh,
book, which I would not have thought was possible because I love the first book so, so much. And I think like you totally outdid yourself. And Rye Hickman's art, oh my God, is so
Rye's
gorgeous
amazing. I
and
love
it's so
working with
perfect.
Rye.
Yeah. We worked
I
with
will work
with
with
them
Rye
too on a
as
short
long as
and
they'll have me.
yes, yes, they're so good. So, do you feel I mean, I think I have my own answer for this, but do you feel that people who have not read the first Galaxy graphic novel can pick up As the World Falls Down and start there if they're intrigued by this? Or do you feel like they should get the first one?
Oh,
Check it out
you should
first.
definitely start with one. You should always start with one. Right? Like that's the truth of any series. Could you pick it
Sure.
up cold? For sure. I like to think that we catch everybody up pretty quickly in the
You
first
do?
handful of
Yeah.
pages if they were coming in without having read number one. But like, I mean, because of the way it works to be part of an interconnected series of stories, like you said,
Yeah.
the ideal reading order is, of course, Galaxy the Prettiest Star, and then Nicole Mains's Bad Dream, a Dreamer's Story, of which Galaxy appears, and then Galaxy as the World Falls Down. So that's like the ideal reading order if you were looking for it, which is like is simultaneously the second book and also the third book, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
But you could come into it cold. You can do anything you like. There's no rules.
That's right. No rules. Read it whichever way you want.
Yeah, yeah. I think it works as its own number one, but like it is better if you read it having read Galaxy the Prettiest Star, and even better if you've read it and read Bad Dream.
Yeah, there are so many references and little callbacks to The Prettiest Star, but also Bad Dream, which I really love. I love their friendship. Like
Yeah.
they're the two trans lady superheroes in DC and they were like best friends and it's so great.
Yeah, there's a bunch of trans characters in DC, which is wonderful. But
There
I
are.
love that Dreamer and Galaxy get to be friends. I love that because so often the trans characters are siloed,
Yep.
and like here
Yep.
is the one because
The token.
right, like
Yeah.
here's the trans character in the Wonder Woman section. Here's the Bat trans character.
Yep.
Here's that, and so to have these two who not only are in the same like area, but also get to be friends and to have that friendship has been so meaningful. And it's meant that I have a friendship now with Nicole, which has been wonderful and something that I cherish. So it's really great that also our characters get to be friends
Yeah,
and to
she's
have that.
wonderful. We've
She's
gotten to
great.
hang with her a few times and she's amazing.
She's the best.
Well, I have been a DC fangirl for my entire life, and I would have loved to introduce a new trans woman who was a superhero to that universe. And you actually did it. You did the thing, and I'm so glad you did. And Galaxy is so important to me, so I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad.
Yeah, it's funny too, because like when I pitched it, which again years ago, because it takes so long to make a book, as you know,
Yeah.
Nicole hadn't been cast as Dreamer yet. Like
Oh, it was before she was even on the
it was
Supergirl show.
before she was that's
Wow,
so there
that's a
wasn't
long time
anyone.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it takes so long to get a book done. And then the pandemic happened, so it took even longer.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's like it's before she'd been cast and like there wasn't really a trans like Alyssa Yeo was there, but she's not a superhero.
yeah.
So when I was doing it, I don't think I thought about how I don't want to use the word groundbreaking, but I guess that's the only word. Groundbreaking it was.
Sure.
Because like the closest we had to that was Kate Godwin, right? Who's like a Vertigo character, and like she's been embraced by the main line now, but at the time, like she was both a Vertigo character and dead. So like nobody, that didn't count. But I didn't even think about that at the time. I was just telling the story I wanted to tell. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until after it came out and people started talking about it in that context, I was like, oh, that is, yeah, she's kind of exceptional in that way. Like she's the only character in DC or Marvel who's trans who has her name in the title.
Yeah.
Or the first, because like we have Bad Dream now. But like she was the first to do that. And like the only one to have a series now with 2 books. But I'm glad that I didn't think about that when I was writing it. And it wasn't
The
about
pressure,
that.
right? Yeah.
Right. Because like again, at the time, I was like, they're never gonna do anything with this character again. This is going to be a one-off that's going to be weird and someone's going to find it in a back issue bin and like, oh, I didn't know they published this.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful that it's been more than that and that it's touched so many people. And I'm really proud of that first book with Vash. I'm also proud of the second book with Rye. It's just, they're the books that I've always wanted to write. And so it's great to finally be able to write them.
Well, it shows. I think your heart is all over them, and they're beautiful, and I love them both so much. So thank you for sharing her with the world.
You're very welcome.
And thank you for being here. It was so great to talk with you about her.
Oh, well, I mean, talking about Galaxy is my favorite thing to do, and you are delightful to talk with, so it was very nice.
Oh, well, thank you. Galaxy As the World Falls Down releases on May 5th from DC Comics, and you can pre-order it right now. There's a link in the show notes if you need one. And do it because you need to read this book. It will make you believe in love again. Tilly Bridges, end transmission. Tilly's Trans Tuesdays is hosted by Tilly Bridges and Susan Bridges with audio editing and sound mixing by Jillian Morgan. The written essay version of this week's topic and all past topics is available at tillystranstuesdays.com. Special thanks to Daisy and Jane for the use of Sorry Not Sorry as our show's theme music. Please stop by and show your support at daisyandjane.bandcamp.com and soundcloud.com/daisyandjane. You can find me at Tilly Bridges on Blue Sky, on Mastodon at Tilly Bridges and Mastodon.social, and on Insta at Heck Yeah Tilly Bridges. And you can find Susan on those at Susan L. Bridges. You can find Jillian at Audio Jillian on Blue Sky. You can join the Tillyverse Discord server by following the link at the very bottom of tillystranstuesdays.com. We hold regular watch parties for the Matrix films and other trans movies, where I do a live Q&A, and it's blossomed into a wonderfully supportive, compassionate, kind community of friends. We'd love to have you join us. If you'd like to keep up with all the writing that Susan and I do, you can sign up for our newsletter at birdguestbroadcast.com. Signed copies of our comics and my book, Begin Transmission, The Trans Allegories of the Matrix, are available on my coffee shop at ko-fi.com/tillybridges. If you're listening on YouTube, it's so cliche, but please like and subscribe and take a few seconds to leave a comment. Those feed the algorithm and helps the show be found by so many more people. If you're listening on other platforms, ratings and reviews help just as much, and I'd certainly appreciate them. Thank you for your support. For more information, visit pendantaudio.com. Thanks for listening.